The book of Judges. The children of Israel are used to having a leader, not a tribe as a leader, but one individual man as their leader. They had Moses as their leader. They had Joshua as their leader. Moses led them out of the land of Egypt into the wilderness to be tested. He gave them the law. But he died, and Joshua, his minister or servant, took over. Aaron died. His son Eleazar took over. And now Joshua and Eleazar are gone. And the children of Israel are in the land. The land has been divided, but there are some inhabitants that they have not yet driven out. Because they couldn't? No. But because they chose to make them slaves. And others, they decided to just dwell among them or allow them to dwell among them. And so now the children of Israel is asking, who shall go up for us first to battle and to finish conquering the land? Because we still have enemies in the land. Judges verse 1 says, now after the death of Joshua, it came to pass that the children of Israel asked the Lord, saying, who shall go up for us against the Canaanites first to fight against them? And the Lord said, Judah shall go up. Now we know when they arranged the tribes, back in Numbers, I believe it is, that Judah was the lead tribe that camped around the tabernacle. Now in verse 3, Judah said unto Simeon, his brother, come up with me into my lot, that we may fight against the Canaanites, and I likewise will go with thee into thy lot. So Simeon went with him. And Judah went up, and the Lord delivered the Canaanites and the Perizzites into their hand, and slew of them in Bezek 10,000 men. And they found Adoni-Bezek in Bezek, and they fought against him, and they slew the Canaanites and the Perizzites. But Adoni-Bezek fled. The brother got up out of there. And they pursued after him and caught him and cut off his thumbs and his great toes. And Adoni-Bezek said, 70 kings, so 70 kings, having their thumbs and their great toes cut off, gathered their meat under my table, or they sat and ate at his table. As I have done, so God hath requited me. You reap what you sow, right? And they brought him to Jerusalem, and there he died. Now the children of Judah fought against Jerusalem. The Jebusites was in Jerusalem at that time and had taken it and smitten it with the edge of the sword and set the city on fire. And afterward, the children of Judah went down to fight against the Canaanites that dwelt in the mountain and in the south and in the valley. And Judah went against the Canaanites that dwelt in Hebron. Now the name of Hebron before was Kirjath Arba. And they slew Sheshai and Ahiman and Talmai. And from thence he came and went against the inhabitants of Debir and the name of Debir was Kirjath Sepher. Before that, it was Debir. And Caleb said, he that smiteth Kirjath Sepher and taketh it, to him will I give Achsah my daughter to wife. So if somebody takes this city, I'll give them my daughter. And so we see here, unlike when they asked Rebekah, will you go with this man to meet Isaac? And she said, yes, I will go. Caleb makes a vow or promise to give his wife away. She didn't have a choice in this matter. And Othniel, the son of Kenaz, Caleb's younger brother. Now, the way this is worded, many wonder if Othniel was Caleb's younger brother or Kenaz. But as we read further, Caleb's father's name was Jephunneh, and so Othniel's father is Kenaz, and Kenaz is Caleb's younger brother. Or is he? We'll see later. And so Othniel, the son of Kenaz, Caleb's younger brother, took it, and he gave him Achsah, his daughter, to wife. And it came to pass, when she came to him, that she moved him to ask of her father a field. And she lighted from off her ass, and Caleb said unto her, what wilt thou? And she said unto him, give me a blessing, for thou hast given me a southland. Give me also springs of water. And Caleb gave her the upper springs and the nether springs. And the children of the Kenite Moses, his father-in-law, went up out of the city of palm trees with the children of Judah into the wilderness of Judah, which lieth in the south of Arad. And they went and dwelt among the people. And Judah went with Simeon his brother, and they slew the Canaanites that inhabited Zephath, and utterly destroyed it. And the name of the city was called Hormah. Also Judah took Gaza with the coast thereof, and Askelon with the coast thereof, and Ekron with the coast thereof. And the Lord was with Judah, and he drave out the inhabitants of the mountain. Watch this, y'all. But could not drive out the inhabitants of the valley, because they had chariots of iron. So they had some advanced machinery. And they gave Hebron unto Caleb, and Moses, as Moses said, and he expelled thence the 3 sons of Anak, which I believe, if we read in the past, that they were giants. And the children of Benjamin did not drive out the Jebusites that inhabited Jerusalem, but the Jebusites dwell with the children of Benjamin in Jerusalem unto this day. Notice they did not drive them out. Now in verse 23, it says, in the house of Joseph, which was who? We know that Manasseh and Ephraim were made one tribe, but then we're going to see that Manasseh and Ephraim are given their own particular lots, and a lot was given to Joseph. Okay? And the house of Joseph sent to describe Bethel. Now the name of the city before was Luz, and the spies saw a man come forth out of the city, and they said unto him, show us, we pray thee, the entrance into the city, and we will show thee mercy. And when he showed them the entrance into the city, they smote the city with the edge of the sword. But they let go the man and all his family. And the man went into the land of the Canaanites and built the city and called the name thereof Luz, which is the name thereof unto this day. Neither did Manasseh drive out the inhabitants of Beth Shean and her towns. Verse 28 says, and it came to pass, when Israel was strong, that they put the Canaanites to tribute, or made them servants and slaves, and did not utterly drive them out. Was that what God said to do? Or did God say destroy them all? Neither did Ephraim drive out the Canaanites that dwelt in Gezer. Verse 30, neither did Zebulun drive out the inhabitants of Kitron. Verse 31, neither did Asher drive out the inhabitants of Akko. Verse 33, neither did Naphtali drive out the inhabitants of Beth Shemesh. Verse 34 says, and the Amorites forced the children of Dan into the mountain, for they would not suffer or allow them to come down into the valley. But the Amorites would dwell in Mount Heres, in Ajalon, and in Shaalbaim. Yet the hand of the house of Joseph prevailed, so that they became tributaries or servants. So we see here that they are in the land. They are continuously taking over cities, conquering kings, dividing the land. But they are not destroying all of the inhabitants. They're making some tributaries or slaves. Some of them, they couldn't drive them out because they had chariots of iron. Maybe they weren't trusting God. Maybe they weren't bold enough. All we know is they're not doing what God told them to do. So in chapter 22, an angel of the Lord came up from Gilgal to Bochim and said, this is speaking in first person. Many say that this angel was God because it's speaking in first person, not an angel speaking on behalf of God, but the angel of the Lord is what it's going to be called in a verse following here. The angel of the Lord, and in many verses in some other books, the angel of the Lord, not a angel of the Lord, but the angel of the Lord. But here is an angel of the Lord. And it's speaking in first person. But in Zechariah, chapter 3, I believe it is, it says that the angel of the Lord that spoke to Joshua said, thus said the Lord. So now in Zechariah, it's saying that it spoke on behalf of the Lord. Something to look at, right? So for me, in this argument of the Lord, it's what really needs to be looked at. Of the Lord, not the Lord. It's not addressed as the Lord or God speaking, but an angel of the Lord or the angel of the Lord. Whether it's speaking in first person or not, it's not addressing this angel as God or the Lord, but an angel of the Lord or the angel of. Doesn't matter whether it's in first person because we see in Zechariah it's in second person. Okay, so that's how we put everything together and come up with the answer. I just thought I would throw that out there because that is an argument. But it speaks in first person. I made you to go up out of Egypt and have brought you unto the land which I swear unto your fathers. And I, talking about God, said, I will never break my covenant with you. This is where we get the theme of this chapter. God is coming to them and basically saying, I will never break my covenant with you, but you've broken the covenant with me. This covenant, this agreement we have between one another. I said, if you keep my covenant, our agreement, I will bless you. If you don't, I will curse you. And you said, and Joshua said, right now here, back in the book of Joshua, that he made a witness with you that you agreed to keep the covenant with me and do all that that I command you to do. But here we see you have not. But in the end of Deuteronomy, I told Moses that as soon as you got into the land, you were going to sin against me and worship other gods. So they're in the land. They're supposed to drive everybody out, kill everybody, but they haven't done so. So the angel is coming to let them know, I am the one, God. God is the one that brought you out of Egypt, and he said he will never break his covenant with you. And ye shall make no league with the inhabitants of the land. I believe this was stated back in Deuteronomy. Don't make marriages. Don't make covenants with the inhabitants of the land. Don't take their women and don't give them yours. Ye shall throw down their altars, but ye have not obeyed my voice. Why have you done this? Why? After all that I've done for you, why have you done this? Wherefore I said, I will not drive them out before you, but they shall be as thorns in your sides, and their God shall be a snare unto you. I told you, if you do not drive them out, I was going to make them your worst enemy. And it came to pass when the angel of the Lord, notice verse 1, unangel of the Lord, now it's saying the angel of the Lord. Some say because he spoke in first person that it was God, this angel. No, it's an angel speaking on behalf of God. When the angel of the Lord spake these words unto all the children of Israel. Notice when God is speaking, the Bible says God. God said, the Lord said, thus said the Lord. But this angel was done speaking, not God personally himself. It says that the people lifted up their voice and wept, and they called the name of the place Bochim, which means weeping. And they sacrificed there unto the Lord. And when Joshua had let the people go, the children of Israel went every man unto his inheritance to possess the land. And the people served the Lord all the days of Joshua and all the days of the elders that outlived Joshua, who had seen all the great works of the Lord that he did for Israel. Okay? So they served the Lord all the days of Joshua and the elders that lived after Joshua. And Joshua the son of Nun, the servant of the Lord, died being 110 years old, and they buried him in the border of his inheritance. Now, verse 10 says, and also all that generation were gathered unto their fathers. So that generation died. And now we come to a generation after them. And there arose another generation after them, which knew not the Lord. Now you have to ask yourself the question, what happened that this next generation did not know the Lord, nor yet the works which he had done for Israel? So all of these things were supposed to be passed down to them, right? They're supposed to know the Lord. They're supposed to know their history. And the children of Israel did evil in the sight of the Lord and served Balaam, a Canaanite god. What did God say At the end of Deuteronomy, after going over the law with them again, Deuteronomy, the second law, after going over it again before Joshua took over and succeeded Moses, at the end of Deuteronomy, God said, after all this, you're going to go into the land and worship other gods. You're not going to keep my covenant. And they forsook the Lord God of their fathers, which brought them out of the land of Egypt, and followed other gods. And they forsook the Lord and served Baal and Ashtaroth. These are both gods of the Canaanites, and I believe Ashtaroth was a feminine god. And the anger of the Lord was hot against Israel, and he delivered them into the hands of spoilers that spoiled them. And he sold them into the hands of their enemies round about, so that they could no longer stand before their enemies. And so worshiping other gods caused them to be made captives, and they were spoiled. Same thing that's going to happen when Solomon worships other gods. They're going to be sent into Assyrian and Babylonian captivity in the future. So notice, worshiping other gods is something that God did not tolerate. He was a jealous God. Whithersoever they went out, verse 15, the hand of the Lord was against them for evil. He let them know this is something out of all the 10 commandments, that if you do, I'm a jealous God, and I'm going to show you how jealous I am. As the Lord has said, and as the Lord has sworn unto them, and they were greatly distressed. Nevertheless, the Lord raised up judges, military leaders, deliverers, to govern them, which delivered them out of the hands of those that spoiled them. So God is showing that he will never forget his covenant. Or break his covenant. I will never break my covenant. Verse 17, and yet they would not hearken unto their judges. So they just tripping. They worshiping other gods. They don't want to listen to the people God put in leadership. But they went a whoring after other gods. Like, no matter who God raised up to lead us, this is what we're doing. And bowed themselves unto them, and they turned quickly out of the way which their fathers walked in. Like, this generation, they wilding. Obeying the commandments of the Lord, but they did not so. So there were seasons when the children of Israel did keep the commandments of the Lord. And we saw that in reading through the Torah, the first 5 books. Even during the time of Joshua, there were seasons where they did all that the Lord commanded them. And when the Lord raised up judges, then the Lord was with the judge, of course, and delivered them out of the hand of their enemies all the days of the judge. For it repented the Lord because of their groanings by reason of them that oppressed them and vexed them. Remember when they were in Egypt? A father cannot take hearing his child cry in distress before it's time to deliver his child. He's going to let his child learn a lesson, but then he's going to come and get his children. So when they groaned and when they cried out, God was sorrowful and delivered them. That's just how much he loved them. That's just how much grace and mercy he has for his people. And it came to pass when the judge was dead, though, they returned and corrupted themselves more than their fathers. So they were worse than the past generation. This generation right here, they was off the hook and following other gods to serve them and to bow down unto them. They ceased not from their doings, like they just kept doing it, nor from their stubborn way, even though they were being taken back and forth into captivity. And the anger of the Lord was hot against Israel, and he said, because that this people have transgressed my covenant, which I commanded their fathers, and have not hearkened unto my voice, I will also not henceforth drive out any from before them of the nations which Joshua left when he died. So those nations that had not yet been driven out, he's going to leave them there to test Israel, that through them I may prove or test Israel, whether they will keep the way of the Lord to walk therein, as their fathers did keep it or not. So now he's got to test them with other nations. Now we say that God knows all things, right? So it's a hard thing to kind of fathom. God, you're testing them, but you really already know what they're going to do. As you said in Deuteronomy, they're going to go over into Canaan and worship other gods. And right now we're seeing that they're doing it. And they're consistent in doing it. No matter what you do to them, they continue to do it. Now you're going to leave nations to test them, to see if they're going to keep the way of the Lord or not. Therefore the Lord left those nations without driving them out hastily. So he wasn't in a hurry to drive them out. Neither delivered he them out of the hand of Joshua. Chapter 3. Now these are the nations which the Lord left to prove Israel by them, even as many of Israel as had not known all the wars of Canaan. So they didn't know about war. They didn't know what their fathers went through. So now God's going to teach them what war means. Only that the generations of the children of Israel might know, to teach them war, at the least such as before knew nothing thereof. They ain't know nothing about war. They didn't know nothing about what this nation had to go through to get where they are. They don't know. They don't appreciate it. Namely, the 5 lords of the Philistines and all the Canaanites and the Sidonians and the Hivites that dwelt in Lebanon, from the Mount Baal Hermon unto the entering in of Hamath. And they were to prove Israel, test them, to know whether they were hearkened unto the commandments of the Lord, which he commanded their fathers by the hand of Moses. So you live among your enemies long enough, we'll see if that's enough to drive you to me, to do what I've called you to do and be who I've called you to be. But watch what they did, though. Verse 6, and they took their daughters to be their wives, and gave their daughters to their sons, and served their gods. So they're doing everything God forbid them to do in the land. Everything God told them not to do, they're doing it. And the children of Israel did evil in the sight of the Lord and forgot the Lord their God. And he said it in the law as well. Don't get over there and walk in your blessings and forget me and my covenant. Remember that? And look at what they're doing. They've forgotten them already. They haven't even been in the land long enough yet, and they've forgotten them already. And serve Balaam and the groves. Therefore the anger of the Lord was hot against Israel, and he sold them into the hand of Cushan-Rishathaim, king of Mesopotamia. Remember, this is where it all started, pretty much. In Babylon, when the people tried to become a kingdom there, a people with Nimrod, and to make a city and give themselves a name and build a tower. They were building a kingdom, a nation. And the children of Israel served Cushan Rishathaim 8 years. And when the children of Israel cried unto the Lord raised up a deliverer to the children of Israel, who delivered them, even Othniel, the son of Kenaz, Caleb's younger brother. So Othniel is the son of Kenaz. Caleb is the son of Jephunneh. So Othniel is not Caleb's brother. They have two different fathers. Othniel is Caleb's nephew. And Caleb gave Othniel his cousin Achsah. Okay? And the Spirit of the Lord came upon him. So he is the first judge. Okay? Judah was in the lead, and now Othniel is a judge. And if we look back, I don't see that God made Caleb a judge, which he should have been, being Joshua's boy, right? But this is saying that God raised up a deliverer who delivered them, and it was Othniel. And God put his spirit upon him, and he judged or governed Israel and was their military leader. And he went out to war, and the Lord delivered Cushan Rishathaim. Cushan Rishathaim. You got to get your mouth ready to say these kind of words. King of Mesopotamia into his hands, and his hand prevailed against Cushan Rishathaim. And the land had rest 40 years, and Othniel, the son of Kenaz, died. So they had rest for 40 years. Just continue to remember this when we get to Hebrews. When the writer says, don't miss out on your spiritual rest as your fathers missed their rest in Canaan when they fell in the wilderness. There was rest in Canaan. There's going to be rest in the kingdom of God, in eternal life. Make sure that you don't miss that rest. There's a rest yet to come for the people of God. And the children of Israel did evil again in the sight of the Lord. And the Lord strengthened Eglon, the king of Moab, against Israel, because they had done evil in the sight of the Lord. So you see what's happening here? God raises up a judge, delivers them. The judge died. They go right back into sin. God gives them another deliverer. The judge dies. They go right back into captivity. And so verse 14 says, so the children of Israel served Eglon, the king of Moab, 18 years. But when the children of Israel cried again, the Lord heard them and raised up a deliverer. So this time, Ehud, the son of Gerar, a Benjamite, a man left-handed. They said left-handed men back then were accurate with the bow and with the knife. And by him the children of Israel sent a present unto Eglon, the king of Moab. But Ehud made him a dagger which had 2 edges of a cubit length. And he did gird it under his raiment upon his right thigh. He brought the present unto Eglon, king of Moab, and Eglon was a very fat man. And when he had made an end to offer the present, he sent away the people that bear the present. But he himself turned again from the quarries that were by Gilgal and said, I have a secret errand unto thee, O king. Who said, keep silence. And all that stood by him went out from him. And Ehud came unto him, and he was sitting in a summer parlor, which he had for himself alone. And Ehud said, I have a message from God unto thee. And he arose out of his seat. And Ehud put forth his left hand and took the dagger from his right thigh and thrust it into his belly. And the half also went in after the blade, and the fat closed upon the blade, so that he could not draw the dagger out of his belly, and the dirt came out. Then Ehud went forth through the porch and shut the doors of the parlor upon him and locked them. And then the story goes on that when his servants stood outside the door, they finally were ashamed that he had been in there so long and hadn't come out, and they went in and found him dead. Verse 26 says, and Ehud escaped while they tarried and passed beyond the quarries and escaped unto Serath. And it came to pass when he had come that he blew a trumpet in the mountain of Ephraim, and the children of Israel went down with him from the mount and heaped before them. And he said unto them, follow after me, for the Lord hath delivered your enemies, the Moabites, into your hand. And they went down after him and took the fords of Jordan towards Moab, and suffered not a man to pass over. And they slew of Moab at that time about 10,000 men, all lusty, and all men of valor or war, and there escaped not a man. So Moab was subdued that day under the hand of Israel, and the land had rest 80 years. So now, a score is 20. So now they had rest 80 years. And after him was Shamgar, the son of Anath, which slew of the Philistines 600 men with an ox goad. And he also delivered Israel. So now he becomes the judge. Chapter 4. And when the children of Israel did evil in the sight of the Lord, when Ehud was dead, and the Lord sold him into the hand of Jabin, the king of Canaan, that reigned in Hazor, the captain of whose host was Sisera, which dwelt in Harosheth of the Gentiles. And the children of Israel cried again unto the Lord, for he had 900 chariots of iron, and 20 years he mightily oppressed the children of Israel. So this was the worst of their captivity so far. And Deborah, a prophetess, the wife of Lapidoth, she judged Israel at that time. And so now we have a female judge. And she dwelt under the palm tree of Deborah between Ramah and Bethel in Mount Ephraim, and the children of Israel came up to her for judgment. So she judged, she was there to handle their cases, their disputes. She was the judge. They came to her for judgment. for her to make decisions concerning certain things that happen amongst the children of Israel. But she had Barak at her side as the military leader. And she sent and called Barak, the son of Abinoam, out of Kadesh Naphtali, or Kadesh Naphtali, which however you pronounce it, and said unto him, have not the Lord God of Israel commanded, saying, go and draw towards Mount Tabor, and take with thee 10,000 men of the children of Naphtali, and of the children of Zebulun? So these two tribes are going with you. And I will draw unto thee to the river Kishon Sisera, the captain of Jabin's army. So you're the captain of Israel's army right now, and Deborah is the judge. And I want you to go up against their army. So the children of Israel can be delivered from them. What are you waiting for? Are you scared? Verse 8, and Barak said unto her, if thou wilt go with me, then I will go. But if thou wilt not go with me, then I will not go. Now you have to ask yourself, is he afraid and needs her to go? What is she going to do? Is she a mighty warrior, or is it that she has favor and that he knows if she goes with them, even if she doesn't raise a sword, they will prevail? It doesn't say, but why does he need her to go? And she said, I will surely go with thee, notwithstanding the journey that thou takest shall not be for thine honor. So you're not going to get honored for going because you didn't go yourself as God commanded you to, but you need me to go. For the Lord shall sell Sisera into the hand of a woman. And she's trying to step back and let a man have the honor. But it's not going to be given to a man because you weren't a man of honor. You didn't go as God told you to. So now a woman is going to get the honor. And Barak called Zebulun and Naphtali to Kadesh, and he went up with 10,000 men at his feet, and Deborah went up with him. Now Heber the Kenite, which was of the children of Hobab, the father-in-law of Moses, had severed himself from the Kenites. So now he's a traitor, and pitched his tent unto the plain of Zanaim, which is by Kadesh. And he showed Sisera that Barak, the son of Abinoam, was gone up to Mount Tabor. Now we know that Moses had a great relationship with his father-in-law, but this man from Moses's father-in-law's family is a traitor now, and now he's going to sell out the Israelites. Moses's people. And Sisera gathered together all his chariots, even 900 chariots of iron, and all the people that were with him, from Harosheth of the Gentiles unto the river Kishon. And Deborah said unto Barak, up, for this is the day in which the Lord hath delivered Sisera into thy hand. Is not the Lord gone out before thee? So Barak went down from Mount Tabor. Maybe he needed some encouragement along the way. Maybe he didn't really trust the men 100% that he was going with. Who knows? And the Lord discomfited Sisera and all his chariots and all his hosts with the edge of the sword before Barak, so that Sisera lighted off his chariot and fled away on his feet. But Barak pursued after the chariots and after the hosts unto Harosheth of the Gentiles. And all the hosts of Sisera fell upon the edge of the sword, and there was not left a man. Howbeit Sisera fled away on his feet to the tent of Jael. the wife of Heber the Kenite. So Heber sold out the Israelites, but let's see what his wife does. For there was peace between Jabin the king of Hazor and the house of Heber the Kenite. So they cool. Well, let's see if the wife is cool with all of this. And Jael went out to meet Sisera and said unto him, Turn in, my lord, turn in unto me, fear not. And when he had turned in unto her into the tent, she covered him with a mantle. And he said unto her, Give me, I pray thee, a little water to drink, for I am thirsty. And she opened a bottle of milk and gave him to drink and covered him. And again he said unto her, Stand in the door of the tent, and it shall be, when any man doth come to inquire of thee, and say, Is there any man there? Thou shalt say, No. Then Jael, Heber's wife, took a nail of the tent and took a hammer in her hand and went softly unto him. So she snuck up on him and smote the nail into his temples and fastened it into the floor. Man, for he was fast asleep and weary, so he died. And behold, as Barak pursued Sisera, Jael came out to meet him and said unto him, Come, and I will show thee the man whom thou seekest. And when he came into her tent, behold, Sisera lay dead, and the nail was in his temples. So God subdued all that day Jabin the king of Canaan before the children of Israel. And the hand of the children of Israel prospered and prevailed against Jabin the king of Canaan, until they had destroyed Jabin, king of Canaan. And so in chapter 5, we hear the song of Deborah. In chapter 5. Remember, in chapter 15 of Exodus, Moses sung a song after they were delivered from Egypt. Now, Deborah and Barak are going to sing a song. So they both sang together, Deborah and Barak, the son of Abinoam, on that day sang, Praise ye the Lord for the avenging of Israel, for when the people willingly offer themselves. Hear, O ye kings, give ear, O ye princes. I, even I, will sing unto the Lord. I will sing praise to the God of Israel. And so what I want you all to do is go and read the rest of this song. I've read it. I want you to read it. And I want us to think about this book. And then we're going to go into Ruth after this, and we're really going to see what the book of Ruth is really all about when we talk about redemption and the kinsman redeemer. Notice what happened to Naomi, Ruth, and Orpah's husbands. Think about why they were there in Moab. Because there was a famine in Canaan when God promised that that would be the land of milk and honey to them. And the earth would yield its increase. There's a lot that we're going to see in this book of Judges leading into Ruth, to really open our eyes to what Ruth is really about and the message that God was sending in the scriptures before we go into 1 Samuel, when we're going to see that Israel is going to be led by kings, because in Judges we're going to see that unless God sends a king that is able to lead them in the way of the Lord, they're going to be in trouble. So we're going to continue with chapters 6 through 10 tomorrow morning.